to proper folders. I will show you that, and the possibility is endless. You can set up automatic replies to certain mails. For example, if you have uh, certain mail that happens recurrently, or some mails you want to ignore and don't want to show up on your inbox, those are some of the things that you will be able to do. So I'll show you a demo of that. Okay. So let's get started with our main content. So we already learned a bit about system prompts in our last session. So if you have forgotten everything, it's completely fine. You don't need to remember anything. I will go through it all over again. So basically, in the last session, we basically saw how we can design a proper system prompt to guide our AI to do anything for us properly. So we talked about having a persona that would basically explain the character that the AI would assume. Let's say I want to create an assistant that teaches me class 9 physics. So if I mention that, okay, you're a physics teacher that teaches class 9 students, it would be very helpful for that. So with persona, we do that. Then we have a specific instruction that we give it. Let's say for my lecturer, I wanted to give me very detailed answers. I wanted to give me questions, examples, and other things with my answer that it will provide me. So I can mention it that. So I can say that, okay, whenever I ask you a question, give me a detailed definition, give me a few examples, and also give me a few mathematical problems that I can solve to understand the concept properly. If I specify those things, the LLM will know how the answer should be to satisfy my needs. So with instruction, we do that. Now we also can set up an audience. Let's say if I specify that the audience of this answer is going to be students of class 9, it will basically make the content in a way that is understandable to that grade of students. Because if you normally ask AI to do anything, it will basically do everything. Like it can give you answers from very complex concepts that are not relevant to class 9 student. For example, if the math example that it gives me, if it contains like integration or differentiation, that is out of scope for a class 9 student. So if we mention audience explicitly, it gives us that option to, tell the LLM to generate for a particular audience. Now we can also give it a context. For example, let's say when I'm learning physics, let's say I'm learning about motion. So what happens is, before motion, I already know the chapter of vectors. So if I mention that, okay, I have already read the chapter of vector, I know vector concepts, so you can feel free to give me problems related to vector, or whenever you're explaining a solution to me, you can use vector for that. So if I give it the context, the answers will obviously be better. Then I can also specify the tone. For example, I can want it to be very friendly. I can want it to be direct. I can want it to be very explanatory. So I can also set up the tone as well. Then we can have a specific output format that we want our LLM to answer into. For example, if there are certain points that I want in my answer, let's say I want to know acceleration. So in that, I can specify that, okay, first you will define this. First, you will create a definition. Then you will give me a description, detailed description of what this concept is. Then you will give me 3 examples, and then you will give me a set of mathematical problems that I can follow for later on. If I explicitly mention those, then it will keep that in my answer. Then I can also specify some constraints as well. For example, I can tell it to skip any mathematical terms. I can tell it to skip anything that has to do with integration or differentiation. So if I specify those constraints, the answer that the LLM will provide, it will not include those in its answer. So in this page, basically I have that system prompt that we talked about last day, and we also like reiterated it again today. And I have given it a few examples. So for customer support, for a coder, for a tutor, I have basically tried to give you an example for a wide range of use cases. Now moving on, in this page, oh, by the way, I'll give the link in the chatbot so that you can access this. Just give me one moment. Uh, Where's the chat? Okay. This is the link to today's site. So in this page, I have basically based on the instruction set, based on the template that we have provided, just like we did for uh, the image generation that we did. Is there any questions? Okay. Okay, I've given basically a template, basically prompt generator for you. So it basically has like every part of the template that we talked about. You can specify anyone, you can specify these, and we will be able to generate like a filled up system prompt based on that. So we will come back to that later when we are training our own AI agent. So what we will do is we will specify a role, we will specify what brand it is working for, we will specify the instruction, the audience, everything we will specify in this form, and it will give us a filled up system prompt that we will use to train our AI agent. Now let's move on to a few things. Before this, what I want to show you is basically in our agenda, we have mentioned two things. First, we have mentioned that we will be creating assistants, and then we have mentioned that we will be creating workflows. So what is the differentiation between an assistant and a workflow? So every term related to generative AI, every term related to LLM, since this is a frontier technology, a lot of it is not decided yet. Like a lot of the definitions that you will see when you search online, there are going to be multiple definitions. Different people explain certain concepts in a different way. Some of these terms are used as like buzzwords that everyone uses, but uses for a different meaning. So agent itself doesn't have a specific meaning. Different companies, different use cases basically have agent as a separate definition. So when we say agent, some people define agents as AI that have ability to do external things. What are external things? External thing can be, let's say, sending an email. That external thing can be reading your email. That external thing can be placing an order. Some people define agents as that. Basically, an AI that has access to a lot of other functions other than language specific outputs. Some people define agents as autonomous tools that are able to take input from various sources and that are able to take actions based on those inputs autonomously. So every company, every category of education, like everyone explains agents in a different way. So one of the explanations that I like, it was given by Claude, Anthropic, basically the parent company of Claude. So they have a very good definition of agents. So what they do is basically they say that agents are anything that have access to a few tools. Now, tools are basically external functions that it calls. We will get onto that later. But what they have done afterwards is they have specified that agents are of two types. The first one is assistant, and the second one is workflows. So, how do they differentiate that? Assistants are basically a broader term. An assistant has access to a lot of tools, and it is able to call those tools based on whenever it needs to. Like it will itself decide when it calls a particular function or when it calls a particular tool or when it does a particular action. Let's say I want to place an order, or there is an agent that basically is a shopkeeper. Let's say I have a shopkeeper agent. So that will act as an assistant. Why? Because whenever I ask it any question, let's say I ask it about a product, let's say I ask it about BL Wi-Fi router, then what will it do? It will fetch that information from a website. It will give me that information and answer my query based on that. So it itself decided that, okay, I need to call a particular function. And if I ask it to place an order, it will call that specific order placement function and then place that order. So the agent itself is deciding when to call that function or when to do that specific task. But in case of a workflow, the decision of calling a particular function is not made by an AI. We have a set of specified rules that we will see later on. And based on those rules, the action happens. And the agent is only a part of that loop, that particular path that we define. The AI agent will only be a part of that flow. It will not be the central thing, but it will be a part of it. On the other hand, in case of assistance, the AI, the LLM, is at the center of everything. It decides what to do and does that action. But in workflow, we humans define what it will do and it works based on that. So that is the high level differentiation. And in this lecture, like I wanted to keep this in this manner. Okay, now moving on, there are a few terms that we will come across when we are making an agent using different platforms. So I just want to give you a brief overview of what all of these are. Technical details I will not get into. I will just give you like for what use case these are used. So these are the 6 variables that you will see. Some of them might not be available in all of the platforms, but most of them will be. So sometimes you will see a thing called temperature. So temperature is basically something that controls the randomness, or what I like to say is the creativity of an answer. So when we're creating an agent, you will see an option for a temperature value. That value basically ranges from 0 to 1, and you can select any value. The higher the value is, the more creative the answer will be. That is all we need to know. Like if we set the value to a higher value, that is when we want creative answer, we basically set the value to very high. But if we want a structured answer, we set the temperature to very low. When do we want a structured answer? Let's say I upload a file and I want to extract some information from it. I don't need it to be creative. I need it to be exact. I don't need it to imagine words by itself. I want it to just give me the words that is in that document, right? So in that case, I don't want creative. So in those use cases, I want very focused, consistent responses. So for that, I will set my temperature to low. But if I wanted to write a poem, I want it to be as creative as it can be, right? So in that case, I will set the temperature to be very high. But in most use cases where we don't know what the temperature should be, just set it to 0.5. And it will be balanced between the creativity and consistency. So to summarize once again, temperature is used to control creativity. The higher the temperature is, the more creative the answer will be. The lower the temperature is, the more structured the answers would be. Okay. Now top K and top P, these are not available in every settings, but you will see them sometimes. I just want you to know what this means. So whenever an AI is generating a response, it generates word by word, right? We saw it in last lecture. So it generates one word at a time. So when it's predicting a single word, when it's predicting a word, it basically has options to select between multiple. Let's say I say that Hitler was very bad. So when we're generating the last word, I don't only have bad as an option. The LLM has bad, the LLM has brutal, the LLM has cruel, the LLM has inhuman. It has a lot of options that it can select from when generating the next response. So the top K and top P basically defines how many numbers or how many words I will consider as my candidate output. So let's say if I set top K to the value of 5, it will only consider the top 5 words. So it can be bad, inhuman, brutal, cruel. So if it's 5 words, after the 6th one, it will completely ignore. So it will only consider the top 5 ones. The top P is a similar term, but instead of having like a fixed number, it focuses on probability. We don't need to get deep down into it. Temperature controls creativity. Top K controls the amount of available options to generate the next token. Okay. Then frequency penalty and presence penalty. These are not available in every AI agent generation system, but these are something that are very self-explanatory. So let's say we have frequency penalty for a particular word. Let's say that if our answer contains too many but or too many them or too many of a certain word, if we set the frequency penalty to a higher value, what it will do is it will try to not use the same word over and over again. What happens sometimes is when AI is generating something, it might repeat a same word again and again. So if you want to stay away from that, if you want to stop that, we can basically set the frequency penalty to high. So that will basically reduce the repetition. The LLM will try not to repeat a word like many times. Then there is presence penalty. So let's say if there is one word, like if I want to exclude one word from my, like I don't want this in my system, like I don't want this word in my system. So if I set the presence penalty to high, then that word will likely not be in my answer. Then this is a very important term, which is max tokens. This is available everywhere. Temperature and max token. These are the most important things that we will consider. And system prompt, like we already explained. System prompt, temperature, and max token. These are the three most important things that we will use when we are creating an agent. So max token basically means how long you want your output to be. Now, if you set your max token to high, a very high number, it will give you a very long response. If you set it to a lower number, it will give you a short response. That is it. Like, and it doesn't mean like if the max token is very high, it doesn't always mean that it will give you higher answer. If like you want lower answer, you can still, like, the prompt will be able to control that, but it will never go beyond that particular number. So let's say that you don't want your answer to be within more than 500 words. So it will never exceed that amount. So max tokens basically controls that. And token and word are not exactly the same. So let's say if you want 500 words to be your answer, your maximum token length should be a little bit higher. It should be 600 or 650. So if you do that, like the answer would be around 500 tokens. Okay, there is a few examples use case here. You can you can view this slide later on if you're confused. Okay, now I will basically, hoping that everyone got through to this point. Are there any questions so far? We talked about system prompts. We talked about temperature. We talked about max tokens. Is there any question so far on this part? Because this part is very important. Okay. Hopefully everyone got it. Okay, now we'll move on to the next segment where we will learn tool calling. So one definition I talked about agents is basically agents are AI that have different capabilities of doing different tasks or different tool calling capabilities. Now, what does tool calling mean? Let's say I ask LLM a question that how is the weather today where I am right now? If I ask an LLM this question, there are a few missing information that the LLM doesn't have. First of all, it doesn't know what today means because I didn't specify the date, right? So it doesn't know what today means. Secondly, it doesn't know where I am. It likely doesn't know. Like if I haven't given it location permissions, it shouldn't know where I am right now. So these are the two information that are missing. So it needs to somehow get these two information. And based on that information, it needs to get the weather. So it can't just imagine, like if it only imagine itself, it would just give a random answer. It might say that, okay, it's very sunny today. But it can't do that because to achieve this task, it needs to figure out what today's date is, where the user is at this moment, and how the weather is based on these two values. So for that, what scientists or researchers have figured out is we give the LLM, let's assume this as a chat GPT. We give chat GPT a few tools that we will define ourselves that, okay, this function does this function does this. You will use this function when you want to do this. So in that way, we specify a few functions. So in this case, I have shown like 5 functions. In actuality, there are hundreds of functions that LLMs use. If you go to ChatGPT, if you ask anything, it will search the web. It will do a lot of things. Sometimes it will write code. Sometimes it will do this. Sometimes it will do that. So it has access to a lot of functions. I've just shown a few here. So let's say that this LLM has been given permission to do a web search. So it can search the web based on a particular query. Then let's say that it has given, we have given it access to a function get weather, which can basically get the weather of a particular location at a particular time. Then we have given a function that basically gives it the date. and also a function that gives it the location, and another one that basically lets them send emails. So to achieve the response for this query, what the LLM would do is basically it would first, in step one, it got the query. In step two, what would it do? It has two information that it needs. It has to know what is today, and it has to know where the user is right now. So it will call the get date function and the get location function and fetch the information from that. So let's say it will get from get date, it will get 25th August, and from get location, it will get Tiger's Den. It will then use this information and call the get weather function using these two information that it got in the third step. Now, after calling that, it will basically get the response, and that response it will process and generate me my final answer, which is it is cloudy today. So that is how an LLM tool calling works. Before LLMs had these functions, before it had access to these five things, which we call tools, which we call functions, whatever it is, before it had access to this was just an LLM. But after it has access to this, and it can call it can get different information, make decisions on that, and use that to generate responses. We now call this LLM and the whole system, this whole system, we call it an agent. So just like we said, agent is a combination of a AI which can do a specific set of tasks. So this is the AI, and these are the specific tasks that it can do, and combined these together, we get a AI agent. So this is what an agent is. Now, what I wanted to show you is what do these do, or how do we define this? What do these mean? These are nothing. These are simply functions that we define and tell the LLM that, okay, when you need this, use this function. That is it. In the next slide, I have a few examples. So let's say the get weather function, there is a query database function that I have, there's a process payment function that I have. So simply what this does is basically we specify what this function does, and we also specify like how to use this function to the LLM. For example, in this image, for the get weather function, the LLM needs the date and the location, right? So we need to somehow specify to the LLM that, okay, to use this function, you need to send the date and also send the location. So that is something you have to specify. And you also have to mention to the LLM that whenever you need weather, you call this function. So that is what we do in this slide. So we basically mention that, okay, you take a location, you take a forecast, like whatever it is, you mention these and you get an answer. How do we get an answer? We have that in the live testing phase. So get weather function. There is a description of the function, what it takes, the information related to that. You don't need to go deep into it. And whenever the AI executes this function, let's say I execute this function, what happens is it fetches the weather in this sort of format. The LLM gets this information and uses that information. That is what happens for every function call for everything. All the tool calling that you see, all the automations that you see AI doing, underneath, it's just this. It's them passing in a few parameters to a function, getting a response, and using that to give you an answer. That is what happens. That is an agent. Like it's as simple as that. Like whenever we talk about agents, we think very complicated things, but agents are not complicated. Underneath, it's just this. Now, the complication basically depends on how many tools it has access to, how big the LLM is. Like the other things make it more capable, but every tool, every agent, from simple ones to very complicated ones, underneath they follow the same structure. Like they have a few set of tools. The tools have been explained to it. Whenever it needs to, it basically uses that. Like that's what happens in a AI agent. Okay. Any question on this part?
Yep, Salman, thanks for
Okay.
elaborating how it's working. Can you please explain when the agents is fetching a data? So there are so many data in the internet, and
Yeah.
how LLM is fetching the data, which one is correct, and how the decision is making that which data needs to.
Okay. I think I got your question, Bhai. Like, how does it know that which data to use for a particular answering a
Yeah,
query?
yeah.
Let's say, Yeah, okay. So basically, before 2023, 2024, if you have used ChatGPT, you would see that it didn't have access to anything. It just had like a chat box. So I'll go to the ChatGPT tool. It just had a chat box. It had like a image button where you could upload images. It had a file button where you could upload files. And that's pretty much it. But nowadays they have like a lot more options. This is ChatGPT. I'll go to Gemini. They have the search option explicitly there. So they have like different tools here, right? So what they have started doing, the problem with previous LLMs before they had tools was they had a training threshold. So let's say I had trained my model on the internet before 2024's August. So it would not have information after that. So if my model was trained on data before 2024 August, if I asked it, like, let's say, who is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh? At this point of time, there is no Prime Minister of Bangladesh. But since the model was trained before 2024 August, it would say the Prime Minister is Sheikh Hasina, which is wrong. So they have figured a clever way out. What they do is they basically search the web before answering a question. So now let's say if I ask, who is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh? It will not directly answer me that. What it will do is it will search the web. Gemini is not mentioning, but if I go to ChatGPT, it will explicitly say that it is searching the web. So it is going to Wikipedia and different. So yeah, as you can see, it says that as of August 2025, the position of Prime Minister remains vacant. This is what the answer should be. And it got that information by searching the web. So this basically what it does underneath. The question that you had is how does it know which question to ask or where to get that information from? It's very simple. It basically searches on a search engine. It basically searches on Google. Whatever
Got it.
answer Google gives me, it returns that. Let's see if we can see that in action. Let's say I just search this term, but now on Google. As you can see, it gave me Wikipedia. It gave me Wikipedia. It will probably, based on my location, give me Al Jazeera and other stuff. And when it first started searching, you would see the Wikipedia button, right? So underneath, what it's doing is it's basically doing a Google search. And what it does is it goes into like the top 3, 4 links. It gathers the information from those links and summarizes that as a proper answer. So whenever it is searching the web, it basically does a search engine call, and whatever the search engine gives it, it considers that as the truth of this particular query. So it's very simple. Different companies do it differently. Some companies have their own search engines. For example, OpenAI, as far as I know, they don't use Google's one directly. They use their own, but Gemini uses Google's one directly. Yes, Delwar bhai.
থ্যাংক ইউ সালমান। আমার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে, ও যদি ওয়েব থেকে ডেটাটা সার্চ করে নেয়, তাহলে ওর ওন ইন্টেলিজেন্সে
Yes,
যে
bhai.
ডেটাটা প্রিজার্ভ করা ছিল সেটার সাথে ওর কনফ্লিক্ট হয় না?
সেটার সাথে কনফ্লিক্ট হয় না, কারণ ধরেন যখন এই ডেটাগুলো সে ফেচ করে, আন্ডারনিথ আমাদের মডেলে যেটা লেখা থাকে যে দ্য ইউজার হ্যাজ আস্কড, এরকম ভাবে থাকে ওর কাছে, মানে internally LLM gets this: the user has asked, user asked, let's say, who is the prime minister, blah 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 blah, and এটার পরে they have this thing called I got this from the web. And the answers that we got from the search engine, that is basically mentioned here. So when the LLM is generating answer, it has been trained to prioritize the answer that it gets from the web. So it has knowledge itself, it has knowledge inherently, but it has been trained in a way that it prioritizes the knowledge that it gets from the web. So even though it has a knowledge, few knowledge by itself, it prioritizes the knowledge from the web, and it basically summarizes everything into a proper whole package and gives you the answer.
Good.
Okay. Did you? Okay. Okay. Is everything clear, Bhaiya? Any more questions? Okay. 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 So let's move on. We basically got got to understand what agents are. We got to know a few different values that dictate how an agent will perform. Now we will basically start creating a very simple agent. So function calling is done. Oh, one more thing. I wanted to give you like a very good concept of a agent, like from here as well. So the first concept that I told you is basically an AI agent is something that has access to a lot of things and can do whatever it wants. There is one other like explanation of AI agent that is similar, but it basically imagines in this concept, they basically imagine agents to be a computer. So what do we see in a computer? A computer will have a CPU, it will have a RAM, it will have mouse and keyboards, which we call input output devices. It will have connection to the internet through either Wi-Fi or through Ethernet cable. It will have like a hard drive, which we call disk. So in this concept, what they do is they imagine an agent to be a computer that has access to different things. These things are basically tools. Like in our previous concept, we said that all of these are tools, but in this explanation, they basically say that these tools are for specific use cases. So I will explain that. So let's say this is the LLM. LLM will act as the CPU. So the actual AI is like the processor of our agentic computer. So this acts as the CPU. Whatever processing happens in the LLM. Whenever we run a program on our CPU, on our computer, the actual processing, the actual mathematical calculation is done by the CPU, right? In the same way, whatever we do in an agentic pipeline, that is handled by the LLM, which is considered as the central processing unit of the agent. Then they have a context window. This is also a term that is very important that will pop up in many places. Context window is basically a set of, basically a window up to which an LLM can remember something. It's like, let's say, a LLM, there is a fixed amount of knowledge that it can process at a particular time. Oh, my laptop is about to run. Just give me one moment. I'll connect to my charger. Just give me one moment. Extremely sorry. Okay. So context window is basically like the longest string, the longest basically input that a LLM can process. LLMs are simple machines, like, right? They are basically a function that do a lot of calculation to give you an output. So context window is basically the limit of input you can give it. Sometimes you will see LLM models having different context sizes mentioned. I will give you an example with our LLM Studio tool. So if we go here, if we go to the models section, let's say I want to search for a model. Let's say I have these. If I look at the description of these models, okay, where is it? Okay, not here. I'll just show you in a different location. Yeah, this. Let's say I open up a LM agent. Is my screen properly visible or is it jittery? Okay.
Visible.
Okay, I think my screen froze for some reason. Just give me one moment. See if some unnecessary things are running. No, looks fine. Okay. So the context length is basically the amount of text it can process. So here you can see the context length is set to 4,000. So what this means is I give a lot of input to my LLM. It will only cater to the last 4,000 words. The words that were before that, it will forget. So it's basically the limitation of knowledge that it has. Like there's only a particular part of my input that it can handle. So context length is basically the largest number of input that it can handle at the same time. think of it as the RAM of a computer. If my computer has an 8 GB RAM and there is an application that requires 16 GB of RAM, that that software will still run on my device, but it will run very jittery. It's because it is only able to load 8 GB at a time. The same thing is about context length. Even if you give a lot of input, it will still process your answer, but it will only use the last 4,000 words. The other part it will forget. Like, it's basically like us human beings. Like after 30 days, we might forget a few things, right? So for us, the context window or the context time is basically 30 days. And for an LLM, it's instead of time, it's basically length. It's the amount of input. Okay. Is that clear, or is that like, should I give like a few more other examples? I hope that it's clear. Okay. So context window is basically that. The larger the context window, the better the LLM is, the better the responses will be, the better it will be able to give answers, right? So that is basically thought of as the RAM of a agentic pipeline. Then we have like Ethernet. So what do we do with Ethernet? What do we do with internet? We connect to different devices around the world. We connect to different people around the world. An LLM does that through a browser. The search capability that we talked about, an LLM basically connects to the internet through that search. So it gets information from the internet. That is its gateway to the internet. Can someone confirm if my screen is visible? I see that my video is stuck. Is my screen still visible and is my audio working
Screen and
properly?
audio
Uh,
visible, but it's not moving.
Visible.
Okay, I'm not moving anything, but yeah, like the video is stuck. I'll try to
Yes,
reshare
video is stuck.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit jittery for some reason. Okay, is it better now? I think I can. My movement
No,
is
it's stuck.
Oh, it's stuck yet. Okay. Okay, just give me one moment. Sorry for the delay. Okay. Okay, it's better now, hopefully. Let me go back to our content. Okay. So we were talking about the Ethernet part. So browser, search engine, those capabilities. Screen still stuck. Um, okay. Screen দেখা যাচ্ছে properly? চার্জ খুলে দিব। ডিলে হচ্ছে মনে হচ্ছে। Okay, is it okay, we will get started, and if it gets stuck again, someone can maybe mention that it's not working. Okay, so browser or the search capability that we talked about, it acts as the internet. So with internet we get a lot of information ourselves. So LLMs also get information from the internet, so that is thought of as the ethernet. The image, the files that we give it to, it basically thinks of that as input output devices like keyboards and mouse. With keyboards and mouse we give input to our computer. So we do the same with LLM, but when we do image or audio video, those are the places where we give it inputs from our sources. Then there is a thing called file system. It is basically like, let's say the files that you give, it thinks of that as a hard drive. So whatever knowledge is in that file, it uses those just like a CPU uses the hard drive. Okay, I'll not go more deep into that. I just want you to know like this definition. Now what we will do is we will move on to creating assistants. So there are two types of agents. One is assistants, where there is a central AI that controls everything, whatever it will do, the AI controls it. And then we will move on to workflow where we define everything and the LLM is just a part of it. So there are many tools that you can use to create to create like your own assistants. There is Gemini Gems, which is by Google, and there is OpenAI's own platform. For OpenAI, the platform is pretty good, but it requires you to add your credit card detail. That's why I will not show this to you. I will show you Gemini Gems. It is the same thing, but with Google's model, and it's completely free. You don't need to do anything. You can just directly go there and start, building agents. So I will show you one by one. So the first agent that we will create is an email modifier agent. So let's say that I have to send a lot of random emails frequently. And most of the time, what we have to do is, let's say we write something that, okay, I want to send a mail that says that, okay, sorry, boss, I'll be sick today. I will not join office or something like that. And we ask the LLM to give us a like email template that we copy paste and send it to our boss. So now if we had an agent where we can just directly write down whatever we want, whatever we have in mind, and it structures that into a proper email automatically instead of us having to mention that, okay, I need a mail, I need it to be sent like this, I need my name to be specified like this. That would be great. So let's create an agent like that. So this part, I would like you to, if possible, you can follow along so that you get an idea of how to do it. So the first thing you want to do is basically search Gemini Gems, and the first link that you will see, new gem, just click on that. If you click on that, this is the web view that you will see. Gemini Gems, and this is the web view you will see. Okay, hopefully, if you wanted to follow, you have already opened this. Now we can give this gem a name. Let's say I want to give it a name of like my email assistant. Sorry, my email assistant. Okay. Now I need to give it instructions. So this instruction is basically the system prompt that we talk about. So how do we generate a system prompt? What we will do is basically we will go back to our content and we will move back. And in the system prompts in this page, we have like a proper template, right? So first we specify the role. What do we want it to be? You are a specialist email writer who writes email for someone side. So it's my emailer agent. So as you can see, whenever you change it, it changes in the field system prompt as well. So the persona is now you are a specialist email writer who writes emails from Salman Say for Salman Say. Then I can give it an instruction. Let's say I want it to be whatever input I give you, just give me a mail with, okay, I'll not, just give me a mail with proper structure. Okay. The audience would be email receivers. Email receivers. Okay. The context is basically I work at Banglalink, which is a, some of these are optional, like you can even not mention these, like if you don't mention it, it's going to ignore. So these are optional. The tone should be very professional. The style should be, uh, let's say, brief. The format should be email structured format. I'll mention the format as well. So it can be like subject. So I want the answer to be subject, then it will have the, sorry. I mistakenly traversed to a new page. Okay, I'll write it again. Sorry. The role is a professional email writer for instruction. Okay. Context is I work at link. Tone is professional. Style is brief. And the format is following. Okay. Just give me one moment. I'll pick up this urgent. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. Okay, so the format would be like I'll specify the format. So subject, and I'll mention that, okay, God, I did. Okay, I'll just directly write it on the on here, like the persona. I will fix the whatever error that happened there for you to follow later on. So you get the idea. Like you fill that up, it will give you a prompt, and you can use that. Professional email writer. Instructions. Give me a proper email for giving to my for my office use. Then we had audience. We will skip it for now. Context, we will skip it for now. Tone, it needs to be professional. Then format, I will specify a format here. So the format would be subject, and then we will mention the subject. If you put it in curly braces or second bracket, the LLM knows that it's supposed to put something there. So then it will say that, dear recipient. This is optional. It will normally do it. Then we will have the email body. Then we will have warm regards, Salman Saib, AI. I'll put my designation and my signature, like whatever we do. Okay. Now I have given it like a proper formatted structure. I don't want it to give me this. Okay, so this is like the system prompt that I have given it. Now, if I save that, I can also, like, whenever you're doing it, you can also like test it out on the right side. So this is the instruction that you gave it. On the right, you can always like ask it. So let's say I want to write a mail. I'm sick, will not come to office. If I only write this based on my instructions that I gave it, it gives me like a very good email, right? A very professional email. It says, please accept this email as notification that I will not be able to come to office today due to illness. I will keep you updated on my condition, stuff like that. I only wrote like 5-6 words and it gave me this email. So normally what I would have to do in a normal LLM is basically I would have to say that I will seek not come to office. Please write me a mail and body, stuff like that. Like I would have to mention it for every email that I do, right? But if I create a assistant out of it, I will directly be able to give it anything. And since it knows what to do, it will be able to do it directly. So now if we click on save, this has been saved. And we can use that at any time. In case of Gemini, what you can do, let's say I log into this again, gemini.google.com. This is their homepage. I can just click on this button and I will be able to see under gems, I will be able to see my gems. So we created my email assistant. So if I activate this, now I'm chatting with my email assistant and I can ask it whatever, like, thank you for the response. Thank you for meeting today. We'll meet tomorrow again. Let's say I want a professional mail with just these 2 sentences. I just write it down and it gives me a very good email with proper signature, with a proper subject and everything. And if you want your email to be more curated to you, more specific for your use case, you can obviously do that when you are specifying the system prompt. Is there any questions regarding that? Does this seem a good idea to use? Like, any feedback?
It's a great thing.
Okay. Okay. Like, this is a very small demo.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Bhaiya, you're
Yes.
audible.
Okay, I'm talking about how can we integrate this tool with your email,
Sorry, with this tool with?
our professional email, like Outlook.
Outlook doesn't have assistance as of now. So this is only for
Yeah.
your own AI tool. I will, in
Yes.
the next assistant that we will make it on LM Studio. So if you have it installed, you will be able to create like a similar assistant on LM Studio where you will be able to use your private data.
Yes. Okay. So I'm looking for the assistant who can reply my email in my absence or during my meeting.
Yes, that is
Yes.
something that we will see in the workflow part. We will see
Yes.
that.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
we will see that, and we can even like, okay, we will see that in the next part. Don't worry. Okay, so now we have assistant.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
One question.
Yes, Bhai, sure. Bhai.
Maybe I have missed, but is it only limited to Gemini?
No,
Uh,
no. You can do it on any platform. I have shown it on Gemini because it is free. Like, you don't need to pay anything. You don't need to add your credit card. But the same you can do with OpenAI as well. OpenAI has a platform, but to open that platform account, you need to specify like credit. But I will show you how this looks like. So if I log in with my account, so this is OpenAI's platform. OpenAI's way to create AI assistants. So I will log in with my account. And here I can see a playground. And here you have an option to create assistants. So it will have the same things that we have with Gems. So it will have a name, it will have a system instruction, it will also have like which model we want, it will have a file search. If you notice, like Gemini also had like file upload capability, and the temperature top P that I mentioned, you can see them here. The value
So
for
actually, it's a paid subscription for paid subscription. Right.
yeah, paid. This is paid. So every time you use it, you will use your API, like you will have to buy API tokens and those will be exhausted. But with Gemini, it is free up to a very big limit. Like you can use it as many. That's why I showed Gemini, like it's completely free. But everyone else has their own solution. And I will also show you with LM Studio in the next part, where we will be able to work with our own data. So as you saw, like the agent that I created, I didn't give it any file, right? I could have given it file, but I didn't want to show you that because we don't want to send our file to a third party tool that they can maybe use it for their own training or something. So I will show you with LM Studio. The next example will include a file, and we will see that with LM Studio. Okay, you can just for reference, like you can just click on add files and you can directly upload files, and your bot will now have access to the file, access to the knowledge that you have in that file, stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Any more questions on this part?
Hello, Salman. I have a question.
Yes, Bhaiya.
Like this AI assistant. So is it possible to integrate? Suppose I have a LinkedIn profile. So is it
Yes.
possible for me an AI assistant will post on daily basis on
Yes.
particular time? I want to post something
Yes.
like this. Like, so is it possible for Gemini or some other AI assistant?
It is possible. We will see a tool called make.com. Make.com specializes in these. Let's say that you have a Excel sheet where you have written down that and few names of the topics. Let's say you have 10 topics that you want to write blogs on, or you want AI to write blogs and upload on your behalf. So what it will do is it will read those one by one and it will post on a particular time of the day. Let's say you want to post one LinkedIn post every day of the every day of the week, then you can do that from there. Like we will see. It's coming on
Okay.
the next part. Like everyone seems
Okay.
very excited for that.
Okay. Thank you.
We will see it for sure. For sure. I'm also excited to show you.
Unmute, please.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay. Mahmoud bhai, do you have any question?
No, no, no. Say, there was no sound that side.
Okay, okay. Sorry. I had myself muted. Okay. So now in this part, we will use LM Studio to create an agent and we will do a CV analyzer. Let's say, like I have had article reader added here, but let's do a CV analyzer. Okay. So for that, I hope that most of us have LM Studio installed. So I will go on to LM Studio. I'll open it. And here I'll go to the chat option. Now for this, what you need to do is you need to go to the power user mode. If you go to the user mode, you will not be able to see the assistants and stuff. You will need to go to the power user mode. So I will click on power user. If I specify power user, you will see an experiment button here, like a experiment button here. You click on that, a lot of things pop up here. So these are the settings that we will specify for making a assistant for us. So the preset that you have, so in here, like they don't say that these are assistants, they say that these are presets. So I will create like a new preset. I'll specify this CV analyzer. CV analyzer. Okay, I'll save it. Now I can write a system prompt. So for system prompt, I will specify the things that I do. Persona, you are a CV analyzer that analyzes CV. Then I'll give it an instruction. instruction, give me the list of awards. Like, let's say I want this agent only to give the awards of a particular person. Give the list of awards won by the candidate. Also mention their LinkedIn profile. So that if I want to do this, so I can do that. So after instruction, I can write down tone, or these are optional. I'll give the output format. So the output format would be, let's say, hash 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 basically means that this is a title. So it will mean first, let's do LinkedIn profile. Profile URL. And then what we will do is we will do awards. Then awards. Okay. Okay. So this is the system prompt that I've written. I will commit changes. If you click on commit changes, it basically saves it. You can select which model you want. So I don't have any selected. So let's select the Gemini 3 1 billion. Now I can select the temperature as well. So I don't want the answer to be that creative. So I'll set it to 0.3, let's say, because I want it to be very precise. I don't want it to imagine anything. You will see a structured output. Structured output is basically what you use when you want your answer to be in a particular format. So this is not like we will not see this for now. We will just do this without this. And we will commit changes since we changed the temperature. And this is it. Like this is what we will do. And now what we can do is maybe I will bring it out. And now what I can do is I can upload a CV. Let's say if I upload my own CV, I'll try to see if I have it. Don't have it. Let me download it. Okay. Okay. So I have uploaded the CV and I will not write down anything. I can write down, okay, do your thing. And based on the prompt that it has, it didn't find the LinkedIn URL. So it didn't give me the URL, but it gave me like the list of awards that it got from the CV, right? So it gave me the list of things. So let's say I want to change it. I want it to give me something else. Let's say I wanted to give me, instead of awards, I also wanted to give me the educational background. I can just mention this, awards won by the candidate and edu background. I will commit changes and I'll create a new chat. I can upload the file. I will not do anything. Like I will not, even if I don't write anything, I just upload the file. It basically summarizes everything. So educational background, it summarized everything. It gave me like all the other things that I had, and basically like answered all my questions based on the system prompt that we had. So this is how you create an agent. Like you will obviously have to play around with it. For example, it didn't give me like everything properly. So if I change like the few parts of these, it will obviously give me better answers. So you need to play around with it. So this is how you create a assistant on LM Studio. So when you're using files that are very sensitive, I suggest that you do it with this. So let's say you have a few legal files or legal documents, you can just upload them at a particular chat and basically use that to do queries, like write proper system prompts and stuff. So you can use this for that. Okay. Now moving on to the part where everyone is waiting for, which is workflows with make.com. So make.com is basically like a workflow creator tool where you can define triggers. Triggers are basically what makes that flow running. You can define a process, action, output. So we will not, like, we don't need definitions. We will just show the direct demo. Some alternatives of make.com is Zapier and Inaten. Both of them are paid. Make.com is free to use up to a particular limit. That's why I'm showing you make.com so that you can get started. And once you start like using it regularly, you can like move on to other platforms as well. Each platform is good at their specific things. So all of them are pretty good. So I'll go to make.com. You can also like follow me along if you want. So when you log into this, you will basically get started. You will click on get started and basically sign up. Since I already have signed up, I will just log in with my account. So I will sign in with Google. I will do a sign in. And when you sign in, it's going to show you a dashboard like this. This is your dashboard. So it shows you like how much you have used, how much operations you have left, how much unused operation you have left, like things like this, the payment structure and everything. What we're interested in is the scenarios. This is where we create the workflows. So we will get started from the beginning. We will do a very simple thing, but we at the same time don't want to affect our profiles or anything. So we will basically do a sorting sort of thing. Like we will basically take emails that we get on our Outlook and we will store it on a particular folder. Like we will structure our emails in a particular folder. That's what we will do. A very simple thing. So once you come to this page, you basically just click on the create scenario button and it will take you to a blank canvas. So this is what the canvas looks like. If you follow along, it's going to be very easy for you to figure out later on because some of the things like this is one of the things that you learn by doing. So you can do that. Like if you want me to wait for a 1 or 2 minutes, like I can do that. Okay. Okay, so I can search for anything. Like let's say I want to use Google Sheets, I want to use LinkedIn, I want to use I don't know if we have Facebook. We have Facebook pages. We have WhatsApp, we have Telegram, like anything that we can think about, we have most of them in make.com. So let's say since we work with Outlooks a lot of that time, we will do it with Outlook. So if I search for Outlook, I will see Microsoft Outlook. And if I click on show more, I will see all the functionalities that make.com has to work with a Outlook email. So the first thing we want to do is, let's say I want to sort my mail, right? So that mail first needs to come into the system. So for that, I need to read a mail, right? So for that, we have like an option called watch messages. What it does is it triggers when a new message is sent or received. So whenever we send or receive a new mail, this functionality is going to be used. So I want this one for me. There are a lot of other functions. Let's say I can search for messages. I can forward a message. Let's say I get a message with a particular uh, user and I always forward it to my boss. So I can basically use this. I can reply to a mail, the one that Bhaiya was mentioning. We can directly reply to a mail that with the agent that we just specified. So we can delete a message, move a message. Move a message is what we will do so that nothing gets affected. So first we need to, what do we need to do? We need to listen to mails. So whenever we send or receive mails, this is what happens. So I will create that. Now, when you do this, you will not see anything connected here. So what you will see is basically an option to connect. So I will basically like try to give you an idea of how you do that. So you basically name a connection, say BL connection or something. And when you save it, it will basically like ask you to log in with your SSO. So you will just select that. That's it, nothing else. When you select that, your Outlook account gets connected here. Now, there is a very disclaimer that I want to make here. Whatever you do with Outlook here, like, please be very careful. I don't want to take any liability. Uh, you should also like consult the IT team. to assess whether or not we can use this. So like don't like I don't know, like if something goes wrong, please like don't like blame me, please. Okay. So basically, like once you have connected it, you have the option to select like which messages you want to listen to. So for now, I will select all messages. I can also select like which folder I want to listen to. And since I want to listen to all messages, let's say I want to listen to everything that comes to my inbox. So it will be on my inbox. And at one time, I only want to process one email. Let's say I don't want to process more than one. So I will limit it to one. Then I will save it. Then it will start like it will not start, like we will have to play it manually. So now we have a block. What does this block do? Whenever a message comes into our Outlook inbox, this block basically gets that message from us. Okay. Now the next step is basically figuring out, since we want to send a message to a particular folder. Now the next step is figuring out which email belongs to which group. Let's say I get emails for different topics. I get emails for my own team, DPE team. Then I have emails for a particular project that I'm working on, let's say Bangla LLM or a recommendation engine that I'm working on. So I might get emails from different categories. So how do I know that a particular mail has a particular is belongs to a particular group? That is where an LLM comes in. If you give your email to an LLM, that LLM can read it out and that LLM can give you like which category it belongs to. So we will do that now. So the email, we got it from here. Now we want to send it to an LLM. For sending it to an LLM, I'll also ask you to use Google Gemini because it's a free one. Other ones are paid. So you will select Google Gemini. Now you also have like a lot of options here as well. So for now, we just want to get a response from the LLM. So we will select create a completion. So it will basically give us an answer. We will select create a. In here, you will also get an option to connect. Like so, you will have to give a connection name and an API key. Where do you get the API key? It is mentioned in this text. So you can get it from this link. So you can just copy this link, go to this link. If you go to this link, sometimes you might be asked to log in with your Google account. And on the top, you will see a get API key button. You will click on that. And if you don't have any API keys, it will have a like generate button. For me, I have an API key. I can just click on this and I can copy. For you, you will have this button, create API key. You can click on this and it will create a new API key for you. So whatever API key it gives you, copy that and paste it to here and save it. That's it. That's how you create a connection. Since I already had a connection, I will not do that. The next thing it will basically ask you is to choose a Gemini model. So for me, let's choose a very small one. Currently 2.5 Flash is a small and very capable one. So we will select that one, Gemini 2 Flash. Now we have to send, we can specify like system prompts. If you are creating like an agent that replies to mails, you can obviously write system prompt here and specify that. So those things are already here. Then you can do Google search grounding. Like these things are available here, but for our use case, we will only do it with a simple message. So let's say I want to send a message. So this message is being sent by me. That's why I'm going to write user. Then parts. If I select parts, it will give me one option and I can just say that my input message type is going to be text. And let's say I specify here that you will be given a email body. Your responsibility is to categorize them into one of the following categories. Don't write anything else except for the category name. Following are the categories. Let's say I will have two categories. One is analytics. So I will specify what analytics means. So whenever someone mentions, let's say, Clever Tap, Mix Panel, or adjust or anything related to analytics. Analytics. Okay. The second option, let's say I'll have Bangla LLM. Whenever someone mentions Bangla LLM. Okay. Then the 3 will be others. Like all other messages would be sent to a others folder. Okay. So this is what I wanted to do. Now to make sure that what the LLM is, what is the LLM doing? LLM is basically processing the email and it is giving me one of 3 inputs, like one of 3 outputs. Like it will only give me analytics, Bangla LLM or others. It will not give me anything else. Now I also want to give it the mail body as well. Following is the mail body. Now, how do I get the mail body? If you write a hyphen, it will give you like what items you have, right? So this is what I get from my previous block, which is the Outlook block. As you can see, it has the message ID, it has created time, it has subject, it has body preview. And if you go down, you will see a body and a body content. So I will select the body content. I'll put my cursor here. I will say body content. So basically, this is what is being given to the LLM. You will be given a response, blah, blah, blah. You do it in any one of these, and this is the mail body that you will have. Okay. Now I will save it. Before saving it, I also want the output format to be a structured output. So where do I see this? Okay, we will just save it here. Like it will should work. Just let's mention don't give anything else. Give the category names. Nothing else. Okay, we will save this. So now what do we have? We have something, a block that takes our mail. We have a block that categorizes the mail. Now, based on the category, we will do an action. So since we have 3 categories, we might do any of 3 actions. That is where a router comes in. So we will have a router here. So our router basically does like as many options as we can. So basically I need 3 points for 3 of the outputs. So I will have 3 different routes. Now you will see a setting button in the line that you have, right? So if you click on the setting button, you can set up a filter. So I will set up a filter. I will label the filter to be analytics because I'm in case of like analytics match, I will do this. So I will say analytics. The condition would be what? Whatever result that I get from the LLM, the text that I get from the LLM, this is found like you can see the blocks, right? This is the second block. This was the first block. In the second block, what do I want? I want the output from the LLM, right? So this is the result, like this is the output that we get from the LLM. So I will select that. Then I can select the operator, like do I want equal to, do I want not equal to, whatever it is. Since I want equal to, I will select equal to. Then I can write what I want to match it with. So I want to match it with a string, which is called analytics. So if my result from this part is analytics, then I will do this action. The same thing I will do for the second one. I will go to the settings, set up a filter. The label would be here. It would be Bangla LLM. Then the condition would be I want to compare with the result. It would be result. And the thing that I match with is going to be Bangla LLM. This is the string that I want to match with. I will save it. The third line is going to be with others. So I'll mention others. It will be the result from the LLM and I will specify others. I will save it. Now for each of them, let's say I want to send it to a particular folder. So I will basically add. Now, since this is an Outlook event, I will click on Outlook. And what do I want to do? I want to move a message from a folder, move a message to a particular folder, right? So I will click on move a message. Here, you will have to select the connection that you have. Then you see this message ID option. This message ID is basically the ID of the Outlook message. How do we get that? You basically select this. This was the first block. It has a message ID. This is the message that we want to transfer, right? So we specify this message ID. So this is the message that we want to do the action on. Then I can also select a folder. Which folder do I send it to? Like which folder do I save it to? I will save it to Bangla LLM. And I will click on save. The same thing I will do for, oh, sorry, this was not Bangla LLM. So I will modify. For modifying, click, do a right click and click on settings and select the proper folder. So this was analytics. So I will do it to analytics. Now the second one is Bangla LLM. We can do Bangla LLM. We can just select our Outlook, move a message, then it will give me the other settings. The message ID would be the message ID from step 1. And the mail folder would be for Bangla LLM, it's Bangla LLM. So I will save it. And for others, I will keep it on my inbox. So I can either forward it or I can just do nothing. It would do the same thing, but I will forward it just to make it easier for you. So the message ID, I got it from the first block, and the mail folder, it would be inbox. Like normally we get our messages inbox. So it would stay in the inbox. Now I will save it. Now what I can do is I can run this with this play button. If I have this ticked on, it will run at every time, right? So let's say I want to run it once. I would just want to test it. If I click on this, you will see that a flow is happening, right? It says 1, 1, and it went on to. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll run it once more. So it says 1, it ran this step. It says 1 and it says this. So this is the path that it followed. So let's see what happened here. So if I click on 1, I can see that I got a mail where the body was this. You will normally see a HTML, but I can even try to see the subject. So it is a release document for BL corporate website. So it doesn't fall into analytics. It doesn't fall into Bangla LLM. That's why it sent it to the other folder. Let's say I run it once more. Hopefully I have a analytics mail. It ran once. It went to the LLM. The LLM is processing.
Salman, probably you have written a wrong spell in analytics in one of your agent analytics and
Okay, I'll check it out. And oh yeah, the spelling is wrong. That's why like it failed. Analytics. Okay. Okay. Thank you for pointing it out.
It's okay.
Okay, I have like a one that is already prepared, so I will use that one for now to show you. It like live demos always go wrong. Okay, so I have one set up. Probably this was the one. Yes, this was the one. So this is the one that I had prepared for this session. So it's the same thing, right? The same analytics, Bangla LLM, and I had one more recommendation engine and others. Like it's the same thing that is happening. So if I click on run, it will basically take the email from my path and it basically stored it to the other. If I see what email it was, the subject was AI Ascend. So it was not part of any one of these. In the same way, like whatever mail it gets, it will basically put it in a proper folder. Now I'm showing you one by one, but if you click on this, like run every 15 minutes or run at a regular interval, it will basically do it automatically. So if you enable this, it will do it automatically. So whatever mail comes in, it will automatically send it to a proper folder. Now you can only imagine like what are the things possible here, right? So instead of like in the AI part, instead of mentioning that, okay, I want you to categorize this, I can even mention that, okay, if the email is sent by this person, I forward it to that person. If an email contains this word in the subject, I want to send this response. So the possibilities are endless. I've shown you like connecting with Outlook, but you can connect with other things as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, then you can feel free
Is
to
it
ask.
possible
Okay,
to
we're done with
show
this.
how to connect WhatsApp?
Yeah, so the WhatsApp connection is
You have
going to
one.
be similar. Yeah, I don't have anything ready, but I'll. Oh, sorry, I had one probably. So it works in the similar way. So you basically create blocks. So I had a Google Sheet set up. I'm not sure like if this is live yet. So you create like a connection. You have to choose a account that you connect to. If you sign into Google, it will ask you for permissions and you connect it to Google Sheets, right? Then you also have the ability to connect to a WhatsApp. So for every connection, you get like help, like where to get the connection, how to create a connection. If you select that, like where do we get the permanent token, where do we get the business account token, everything is here. Like they provide like sources to search where do we get every information from. So it has a documentation on where do we get the API key. So if you follow this, you will get to know like how to connect. And all the other processes are same, like you can place a LLM here. So for Google Sheets, I was like this was set up like to watch new rows. So whenever a new row gets added, this would this workflow would trigger, right? And it would basically do an action based on that. So any integration that you want, that is like possible with Make. And there are other tools like Init and others. You can even run them locally, stuff like that. So those are some of the things that you can do. Hopefully, like it didn't go over the top of your. It was probably it. Hopefully, it was simple enough to understand. If you have any questions, please go ahead, and you can always connect to me like even after the session, and I'll try to help you if you are stuck with something. Okay.
সালমান,
So yeah, please.
সরি, আমার একটা কোশ্চেন হচ্ছে, আম, আমরা তো এখানে দেখলাম যে এভাবে আমরা ফোল্ডার ফরওয়ার্ড করতে পারছি, কিন্তু আমরা তো আউটলুকে একটা রুল সেট করে ওই ইমেল গুলোকে বিভিন্ন ফোল্ডারে নিয়ে যেতে পারি। সো হোয়াট ইজ দ্য ডিফারেন্স এখানে?
জি ভাইয়া, এখানে আমি ফোল্ডারটা দেখানোর রিজন হচ্ছে যে এটা কোনো ব্রেকিং কিছু না, বাট এখানে ফোল্ডারে সর্ট না করে আমরা তো চাইলে অটোমেটিক রিপ্লাইও দিয়ে দিতে পারি। লেটস সে
আচ্ছা,
আমি একটা অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট বানালাম যার পার্সোনা হচ্ছে যে অ্যানালিটিক্স রিলেটেড যত মেইল পাবে এই
জি,
মেইলগুলো সে সামারাইজ করবে, করে সে আমার একটা গুগল শিট অথবা এক্সেল শিটে সে এটা স্টোর করবে।
আচ্ছা,
যেন আমি অ্যানালিটিক্সের সবগুলোর সামারাইজড ভার্সন আমি একটা দিন শেষে আমি এসে যেন একটা এক্সেল শিটের মধ্যে পাই। তো এরকম টাস্ক গুলোও সে করতে পারবে আর কি।
ওকে, বুঝতে পেরেছি। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Yes, ভাই। Okay, if there is no other question, I would like to conclude the session. So congratulations on making it this far. This has been a very pleasant journey from my end. It has been a pleasure to teach you guys, try to teach you guys a few things about AI. And I've also like learned a lot throughout the journey as well. So hopefully I was able to give some value to everyone. We all have very busy schedules, and you guys have found out some time, and a lot of you have participated very actively. So I would like to thank every one of you who has participated. This was my first time taking a proper session, and that too at such a big stage. So it has been a very good experience. And I'll always be here. Like I'll always be one knock away. Knock me on Teams, on WhatsApp, whichever platform you want to. I will try to help you out with any AI needs. Like I'll try my best to do it. And all the contents that we have like gone through, they are available on the course platforms for AI for creative work, getting into LLMs, creating agents. All of the sessions, the contents are here. The recording of the contents are also here, so that like you can, if you come back, you can just go ahead and look onto it. And when we take next sessions, what we do is we update these contents. So the updates will also be shown like in this site. So it will be constantly updated and you will be able to see it. So thank you everyone for joining these sessions. It has been a pleasure. Thank you everyone.
Thanks a lot. The session was very much engaging and lively. We have enjoyed throughout the time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bhaiya. Uh, Ashif, do you have any questions? Bhaiya, your mic is muted, I think.